right, guys, let's go ahead and go over the review. So you notice on the first page how it is your formula chart. Please don't forget to use it during the benchmark test, okay? There's a couple of things on here that might help you or might remind you of what to do or what formula to use. For example, right here, it's got the exponents, the rules of the exponents. It talks about in the next section the linear equations, for example, like slope-intercept form. How do you find slope between 2 points? And then down here is the new lessons that we went over. Notice how it has axis of symmetry, and it's got vertex form, standard form. The one that is brand new that we have not talked about at all is this one. We haven't touched that yet. So you're welcome to try it if you get any questions with this formula. And remember just to try your best if you get those, okay? So let's start with number 1. Here it says, a graph of a quadratic function is on the grid. Which coordinates best represent the vertex of the graph? Okay, so what I like about this one is we just learned this, right? We learned about the vertex and we learned about parabolas just recently. So the vertex is the minimum or the maximum point on the parabola. And in this case, they want to know what the ordered pair is. So it's 5 and -8. So the best answer is letter A. Raise your hand if you got it right. Let me see. All right. Yay. I hope you felt good about this one. I hope you felt like when you started this review, you were like, hey, this is not too bad. Because these questions, they're not too bad. So anyway, number 2. Okay. This one, though, this one you might have been a little bit, but that's okay. So I'm going to rewrite it. It's asking which expression is equivalent to blah, 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 for all values x, y, and z where the expression is defined. Okay, so right here we have 15x to the 3rd power, y to the -8th, z over 20x to the 5th power, y to the -2nd power, and z to the -7th power. Okay, the first thing is I want to look at the coefficients and reduce this. I notice that they have a 5 in common. So this becomes 3/4. So you look at your answer choices and you look for 3/4, right? You have 3/4 for letter F. On letter G, however, this is out. Letter H is good and letter J is out. Okay, so now we're down to 2 answers. That's what I've noticed with this algebra test. The EOC usually brings it down to 2 answers. Right away, you can eliminate one of the 4, and then you will get down to the last 2. So now we just need a little bit more work to find it. I have x to the 3rd over x to the 5th. These actually can simplify each other, and we end up with x to the 2nd power in the denominator. Because remember, it was like this, right? And there's 5 of them down here. So they cancel each other out, 3 of them, and what's left over is 2 in the denominator, okay? Now we have y to the -8th power. We're going to bring it to the denominator. So we have y to the +8th power, and then y to the -2nd power goes to the top, and it becomes a positive exponent. Now here you can already simplify it. So this 8 becomes a 6, and then z over z to the -7th, this actually goes to the top, and this becomes a +7, and right here you would add the exponents, so it's z to the 8th power, and as you can see, the best answer here is letter H. Raise your hand if you got it right. Uh-oh. Oh, a couple of you, good, okay. Okay, any questions here on number 2? We're doing good? Okay, thumbs up if you're ready to move on, and thumbs down if you're still writing. Oh, good. Majority of you, thumbs up. Let's go ahead and go to number 3. Okay, number 3. So it says here, what is the slope and y-intercept of the line on the coordinate grid? So we're looking for the slope and the y-intercept. So when you have a graph, right away you can find the y-intercept. That's where it crosses the y-axis, which is right here. +7. So when you look at your answer choices, you want to find y-intercept equals +7, and there's only one answer here. That's correct, letter B. Okay, I have a question. Number 2 is actually, let me see. Number 2, let me go back real quick to my notes and I can tell you right now. Okay. So number 2 starts with chapter 6, okay? Chapter 6.1 in our notes. Okay? And George, just to let you know, they're right here as well. Here are all the rules for exponents. So all of this is from our book from chapter 6. All of these rules, okay? You're welcome. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so number 3 we said was B. Number 4. The table represents some points on the graph of a linear function. Which equation represents the relationship? Okay, so here I notice that all the answer choices are y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. And the table gives us a huge clue, and they tell us the y-intercept. Remember, the y-intercept is when x equals 0. So here's the y-intercept. So it's supposed to be -5 right here in the equation. So when you look at your answer choices, G and H are gone. Okay, next we have the slope. So remember, the slope is the change in y over the change in x. So I want to check, how do I get from -5 to -3? Well, we're going up by 2. And how do you get from 0 to 3? We're going to go up by 3. So our slope is 2 over 3. And when you look at your answer choices, the best one is J. Any questions on number 4? Raise your hand if you got it right. All right, I see some thumbs ups. Woohoo! All right, let's move on to number 5. Thanks, George, for answering that question. Okay, guys, here we go. Number 5. The tables of ordered pairs represent some points on the graphs of lines A and B. Which system of equations is represented by lines A and B? Okay, remember that the word system means more than one line, and here we have 2 of them. And you can see in your answer choices, they give you 2 equations for each one. So we have to find out which one of these answer choices fits the table. Well, look at this right here. Can you tell what this tells us? That's our y-intercept. Very good, George. So right here, it has to be a +1. Okay, so when you look at your answer choices, I see +1 for letter A. Letter B does not have +1 at all. So B is out. Letter C, yes, it has +1, and letter D, it does as well. Although it's on the second line, line B. So this one might be out, but we're just going to double check before we eliminate. Next, we want to find our slope. Okay, let's go from 0 to 5. That's +5. And from 1 to 4, we're going up by 3. So our slope is 3/5. And when you look at your answer choices, here's letter A. That line is good. Letter C, this one is good. And letter D, you're out. It's not there. Okay. Now let's look at line B. Well, you can't tell what the y-intercept is yet, but you can find the slope. How do you get from 2 to 4? We're going to go up 2. And from -3 to -4, we're going down 1. So our slope here is -1 over 2. So when you look at the second line, this one says -3/2. Nope. And here, -1/2. Yes. So it's C. Okay, raise your hand if you got it right. All right. Okay, pretty good, pretty good. Any questions here on number 5? Okay, let's move on. Number 6. Ooh, this one. I hope as soon as you got here, you're able to find the answer real fast. Which graph best represents a system of equations that has no solution? The best answer here is letter F. Did you get it? Hands up if you got it. Woohoo! All right. Let's move on to number 7. Okay, number 7 says, which function is equivalent to f of x equals -3 times x minus 2 to the second power minus 4? Okay, we haven't really learned this yet, but you could still figure out the correct answer. But just to let you know, this is actually in vertex form. Look, check it out. If you look at the bottom of your formula chart, vertex form is right here. And that's the way they have the question. That's the way they have the given. So let me show you. Vertex form is a times x minus h to the second power plus k. And see how it's written in vertex form? So you could actually find the vertex and see which one of these parabolas matches that vertex, or you can actually rewrite this and change it from vertex form to standard form to one of these. So let's do that. First, you want to do exponents. So x minus 2 to the second power means x minus 2 times x minus 2. If I do FOIL here, I'm going to end up with x squared minus 2x plus 4, right? And then I'm going to bring down everything else. So times -3 in the front. And then this minus 4, just bring it down. Okay, so now I'm going to combine like terms inside the parentheses. I can combine my -2x and -2x. So we end up with -4x plus 4. And then, of course, we still have times -3 minus 4, right? Order of operations says to multiply. So we're going to distribute the -3 into each term. So you end up with -3x squared plus 12x minus 12. And then I'm going to bring this straight down, right? Minus 4. Now we're going to combine our like terms, which are these two. So we have -3x squared plus 12x minus 16. Which one matches? The best one is letter D. Did you get the right answer for number 7? Thumbs up, or if you got it. Thumbs up if you got it. That's okay if you didn't. Don't worry. But did you see how I was able to use order of operations to change it from vertex form to standard form? Okay. Okay. Are there any questions here on number 7? So this was just one way to do it. You didn't have to solve it this way. You could have found the vertex, which is h and k. And in this case, it would have been 2 and -4. This is the vertex. And then if you graph these, you just find out what's the vertex and make sure it matches 2 and -4. Now, I was showing my other classes how to do that. You go to the calculator, go to add graphs. Let's test out letter A, right? So watch. If I plug in letter A here, I'm going to put 3x squared minus 12x minus 16. When I push enter, I'm going to get this parabola, but I can't even see where the vertex is. So you go to menu, and we're going to change the window. So you can zoom in, you could zoom out, or you could change the window settings, either one. Let's say I decide to zoom out. I'm going to move my magnifying glass towards the bottom where the vertex is supposed to be at. And Here, I still can't see it, so you could do it one more time. And notice how it's very, it looks like it shrunk it. So you could actually just fix the window so that, it looks better. Or you could zoom in. Let me zoom in. Just zoom in at the vertex. There you go. So it looks better. Okay. So now I can see the vertex. And I want to check to see if it matches 2 and -4. There are several ways you could do that. You can trace it. You go to Menu, Trace, Graph Trace. And when you do that, it gives you a point, and you use the arrows to move it to the vertex. Ooh, look what happened when I found the vertex. It labeled it minimum. So, and then look how it put the vertex down here. 2 and -28? No, it doesn't match. And another way to do that is you could find out by pressing Control T. And if you do Control T, it's going to give you the table. Look how the table's here now. And when I'm at 2 and the output is -28, you see how it still doesn't match? So then letter A is not the answer, okay? So that's another way that we could do it. Okay, let's move on to number 8. Number 8 says, what is the slope of the line passing through the points 5 and -7 and -3 and 9? Okay, so here's where we would use the slope formula. Right here. It's in the formula chart. Slope of a line, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to write that here. And then we substitute, right? So I have 9 minus -7 over -3 minus 5. Let's go ahead and simplify it. This becomes a big plus, so it's actually 16 over -8. And when you simplify that, you get -2, which is letter F. Raise your hand if you got it right. All right, very good. Any questions here on number 8? Everybody's doing okay? Number 8? All right, let's move on to number 9. Okay, so it says the graph of quadratic function p is shown on the grid. If k of x equals x squared and p of x equals k of x plus n, what is the value of n? Okay, we actually did these types of problems, but when we did them, they were straight lines. But now it's a parabola. So they want to know, how did the parabola change? Okay, this is called the parent function. Remember, k of x is another fancy way to just say y equals, right? So they're saying that the equation is x to the second power. If you graph that on your graphing calculator, I go back over here and I go to a new graph and I put x to the second power and I push enter. Here's the parent function. Notice how the vertex is at the origin, which means when you look here, the parent function starts at the origin and it goes something similar to this, okay? This is, the one in blue is the parent function. That's this part. But here they're saying p of x, that's the black parabola, is equal to the parent function plus n. So they want to know what's the value of n. In other words, what happened to get from the blue parabola to the second parabola? Did it move up? Did it move down? Did it go to the left? Did it go to the right? And the way you know is you look at the vertex. How did it change from this point to here? What do you think happened? Did it go up, down, left, right? Okay, you're right if it started here and it went to the blue, right? But the parent function is always first. So it actually went from the blue to the black parabola. So it went down, that's right. So how many spaces did it move down? Yep, very good. So really what happened here was it went, this part right here is the change, so you would say it went down 4 spaces. This is in, so it would be -4, okay?